constant flow to sort of mercurial thought processes.
That's
so there is that next further element of the tower.
That's true.
And 0, 0, well that's just the whole, that's 8 anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, because zero is twisted into infinity. It's good, guys. Very interesting thoughts.
Well, we might just revolutionize the system. Who knows?
Oh yeah, who knows? So.
What is the F in brackets?
Oh, F. As I was explaining to Ben earlier. So the reason why these 5 cards can double up is because those 5 Hebrew letters have 2 forms. I'm not entirely sure what the grammar of that is, but I think it's because when that letter comes up at the end of a sentence, you write it slightly differently. I think maybe they add a dot in it or something. So that's why these can be used twice.
But on the second occasion, it's to get an ending.
Yeah.
And the ordering of those 5, and why in that particular order?
It's because that's the numerical value of those forms.
So this is extracted from what?
From the Hebrew language itself.
Okay, they already have these numbers.
Have these numbers out there.
No, but do they actually have full stops? Or do they use those letters instead?
No, I wish we had a Jewish person to consult with.
Some of the letters have dots underneath.
Oh, we do. Awesome.
Yeah, they do.
Okay, that's cool.
That represents the vowel.
So is that really the 5? So the letters are, if I remember, Kaf, Mem, Nun, Towers, Pei, and Zadi. Do those really have the second 2 forms? No?
I don't know.
I don't know. Okay.
Long time since I looked at them.
Okay. Maybe we need to find a 13-year-old who's just had the mitzvah. It's fresh in his mind. Okay, let's move on from the 8s. So now we go to the 9s. So now that we have these systems in order to regain that balance in the 8, we now introduce a bit more flexibility in the 9s, where we're kind of going back to a different form of balance, where we're actually moving. We're not quite so solid. And then the 9s in the Qabalistic Tree of Life is, the where you have your instincts, your imagination, and also creativity in the form of sexuality, your sexual consciousness, and that's where you have that. Excuse me, excuse me, bless you. Which is terrible.
Excuse.
That's when, because if you look at the graph, because 9 is technically at the end, and that's where you have to create something new, and that's where sort of sexuality and creativity comes in a way. And that is the beginning of the recycling, So with that in mind,
it correlates to the sacral chakra as well.
yes, it does.
Emotionality and sexuality.
Navel, right?
Sacral.
Navel. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
No, the navel is.
Yeah.
So here we have. So you can kind of see why here then Crowley changed from the title Strength to Lust, and going with this sort of system. There is that link towards sexuality. There are other reasons as well. Won't get into that here because I have gone into that before. So yeah, what do you guys think of the Lust and the Star cards together? First off, I'll go on to say that they represent Leo and Aquarius, which are opposites on the astrological wheel. So again, we have this several times in the system already, which I find really interesting that they correlate.
Well, opposites need each other.
Yeah.
In a sense.
Yeah. I was just commenting on how neat this system is. It seems to fit a bit more than the standard numerology system. See you shaking your head. Do you disagree?
Because I don't know much about it, and I know there's more than one. I believe.
Yeah, no, that's true as well. Fair enough if you're using a tarot deck that has that system in its mind whilst it was created. Fair enough, but don't tack that onto the Rider-Waite or the Thoth, which was using this system. So yeah, lust in the star cards, or strength in the star card. Any thoughts? Kind of straightforward, but
Well, it's the completion, in a sense.
yeah, it's the completion. I mean, because lust is when you're trying to create something new. Star is that sort of hope for the future in a way. It's like, oh, what's going to happen? What's the baby going to be like, kind of thing. That hope for the future cycle, in a way, is always a very positive one. All those possibilities that can happen. Any other links you guys want to go?
Traditional depictions are a young girl, a young female.
It's a young girl. Although the star in the Golden Dawn is actually, the other title is the mother. Because if you have the priestess as the virgin, the empress as the wife, and the star is when the empress is given birth, in a way. Because the star is the goddess of the sky, Nuit, literally giving birth to the universe.
It's also about the sort of, after the destruction of the tower and all that, and things was a state of peace and calm.
Yeah.
So is it a 6 in reverse? It's more than starting again.
It's a different.
Continue another journey.
Yeah, didn't like it. But the 6, nice that you comment on 6 in reverse, because the 6 and the 9 are in the middle pillar. They are forms of one another, which is very interesting. I think that's out for the 9s. So after the 9s we have 10, so we go back to the 1, which is interesting. Where the 1, so the pages and the princesses are attributed to the number 10, but in the sense that they are full circle, they are linked to the 1s, the aces as well. And in the Golden Dawn system, the aces and the pages are kind of the same as each other, but it's just one's the court card form, one's the minor form. The pages, they're kind of like, they're the youthful forms. They are the sort of most purest expression of each element, and so it kind of makes sense that they're linked to the aces in a sense. So you have this sense where that the new cycle it goes right back to the beginning, where there was sort of nothing and everything was pure and nice. Yes, Mike?
Yeah, well, just in these last two things, sort of leaves me thinking about Jacques Lacan and his Petit Object du Désir, the encounter with the unobtainable other, and the sort of separateness of something that is wholly out there and untouchable, unencounterable, unattainable, which is the star, and also the dynamic of lust is the craving of the soul after that, which is all those things. Because desire is, in
Wanting what you don't have.
Freudian, yes, exactly. And what you can't have, crucially.
Can't? I would debate about that.
Yeah.
Don't? I would argue don't.
Well, what happens when desire is fulfilled?
Then you desire more.
Get satisfied.
Yeah, exactly.
You're never satisfied.
Well, argue,
I mean, I'm not saying you, sorry.
No, that's same thing, Either desire is not satisfied or it doesn't exist.
Yeah, I mean that's
It's a contradiction to say desire is satisfied.
No, that's
for a
true.
while,
That's
it's
true.
satisfied.
Momentarily.
Yeah,
But
momentarily.
that is also why, like, all religions and spirituality says, oh, you must transcend, romantic love in order to get to that love. Is because, again, romantic love, once you get it,
Well, okay, that's one way of looking at it.
well, that's why, like, you lust after a figment of your imagination, so you can never get it. You
Well,
create God for
yes,
that purpose.
Yeah, exactly. So there is no difference in that. Has anybody ever seen that or read the book? What's it called now? Nietzsche's Tears.
No.
No.
It's about well, it's about Nietzsche, obviously,
Mm.
but it's about his infatuation with Lou Salome,
Mm.
who offered him the dubious proposition of let's be intellectual friends and co-workers, but there can never be anything physical between us.
Yeah.
And according to the psychotherapist who wrote this book, Nietzsche's Theatre, when Nietzsche wept, that's it. This basically is, well, you know, if you thought Nietzsche was insane, that's